Alrighty here. This is Chris McGilligan Park, back again. I'm using a slightly better mic than I was the last couple of times, but my Yeti is still out of commission for whatever reason. This time I wanted to look at some of the explosion effects of the game. Weapon effects, not when a ship itself dies. So um, before they were kind of basic. I instead of using particle systems, which are just really um, too inefficient, I'm using these vertex shaders here, which let us have um, basically um, just a few pieces of geometry that we're adjusting the vertices on and adjusting a few other properties on over time. And before this is the flak effect right here. This looked like three big bubbles of kind of like PS1 smoke gas poof, escape. I hated it. Oh my god, it was awful. It looked that way specifically because when I started redoing the shader pipeline or the lighting pipeline in general, I didn't update these particular shaders, and they were surface shaders before that would basically pick up the reflections. And so there were a lot of things that were not happening very well in there. But one of the things I want to point out is that it was before the same thing every time. But now, as you can see with these repeat um, uses of it here, this is something that is varied. So when a bunch of these are going off all at one time, before the only thing that was different was the rotation. They always lasted the exact same amount of time, the actual effects were the exact same scale, etc. And they were all relative to each other in the right same spot. Now that's not the case. So um, these death chains, which are what I use, this is what I call these particular effects, are kind of a proto or faux particle effect. I've got all these little randomizer attributes that I put on there for each of the different subcomponents now. And, when you look at an individual, let's see, I don't think it's going to let me do that right now. When you look at an individual death effect, um, you can see based off of the death amount float that's passed in, a different thing happens with these materials. So one of the things is when death effect was 0 before, you used to be able to see this kind of white ghostly outline, which was the normals catching the light. But now we don't even use normals on this at all because we're using a new custom lighting effect. I can show you this in the shader editor actually. Um, this may take a second to open. Oh, yep. Come on, you could do it. There you go. Okay. Yep. So this is my uh this is based off of somebody else's shader originally, but this is now using the custom lighting model instead of using the standard surface. So there's no metallicity or anything like that. It's using a burn ramp and doing a bunch of coordinate uh, um, conversion over here to the vertices and their tangents and that sort of thing. And the depth amount, you can see how it fades in there to all these different things. And there's the dissolve guide that affects how things come over time. It's a neat effect. Anyhow, depending on what textures you use as you're coming in and what colors you use, you can get dramatically different effects and even just the little offset things there too. But so this is with no randomization of the death chain, and this happens to just be 4 different ones using the exact same material, so that when I adjust the value on that, it affects all of them. So when I go back in here, we're in play mode again. This is in the little prep project. I can hit this and it does the automated thing at the speed that I want and all that sort of thing. So, okay, black effect, that's pretty cool. The plasma effect, I wanted to be more of a come on up and then slowly fade out. And so you can see how even though the death effect timer is linear, it actually winds up not even reaching to the end of that on the shader because it ends sooner than that in the death chain. The lightning I'm particularly pleased with as well. So before, what was often happening is this was um, more or less it was rotating, but it was a very inexact sort of rotation, and it was showing, especially on the Guardian Lightning, it was showing a partially transparent, like white, like as Puffin describes it, kind of tracers. It did kind of look like that, where lightning's going to be for 2 seconds at a time. It was not a quick effect. It was a weird delay that was happening on it, and that was just based on how the ramp effect and so forth was happening and where the mask clip value was and things. So with this now, um, this is the same shader, different material, obviously, but I'm really pleased with this. It winds up looking almost like it's, especially from a distance, it winds up looking almost like it's particle effect because there's all these little pieces that appear all around the geometry of these two things, which the two things get randomly rotated, and now they also get randomly scaled a little bit. Um, and the two materials are actually a little bit different. So the second one has more of the like disappearing parts, where the first one comes in more immediate flash. This is the one for the Guardians, and this one has a three-part effect. It's more diffuse in general. It does not have such a strong um, effect as the like a strong like bolt effect as the other one does. This looks more like just general area lightning, which I also made it more purpley, which I don't know. Maybe I don't actually like that now that I see how it's been a little while getting microphone set up, and then it's kind of like, that actually does look better with this here. So I mean, we've got that. It's less different from this, but it's still different enough. Um, and yeah, that gives some more that feels better. Um, and I could go in and I could make some more changes to some of these things, like for instance, so the tiling on this one tends to have the big effect. So that gives you more of a zap. All right, give it a little more tiling. Give it a little more oomph in there. This one I could affect the tiling up a little bit too. I didn't think I was going to be editing these further in here. All right, so yeah, that does look better. The P3 one, not that tiling. Yeah, it is this tiling. Let's see. Nice. It's got this little crackles that kind of at the end there. So, all right. Well, just dramatically improve that again. What do you know? So this is the um, regular non-guardian lightning attacks. And look how, I mean, it looks like there's way more variances than there were before. And then the guardian one, that is more intense. Okay. Um, it's funny making a bunch of changes to it while we were here. We'll see. I'll probably have to get all these things scaled properly in the game, but they're scaled relative to one another, which is nice, and the plasma effects and so forth. The main thing is just not having it be this thing that looks like this just white grossness. So I'm very happy about that in this regard. All right, thanks for watching.